Hey boys and girls, it's so good to see you all here today. Welcome to Mainstreet Live. Now let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen somebody famous? I mean like really famous. One time I was standing in line at Disneyland and there was a man in front of me and he had on all kinds of sports memorabilia and he had ears that are called cauliflower ears, and like wrestlers and boxers, if they get hit in the ear, their ears kind of get a little puffy and it means they're a fighter. And I have a rule, I don't mess with anybody, but I definitely don't mess with people that have cauliflower ears. And I'm like, this guy has to be famous. So the only person that I knew that was famous was John Smith with Oklahoma State stuff all over. And I said, are you John Smith? And he looked at me and he said, yeah, I am. And I said, can I take a picture with you? And he's like, yeah, okay. And he was nice, and then he turned around and stayed with his family. Check him out. Oh, pretty sweet, got a few medals there. Now, another time, I went to a Blazer basketball game in Portland, Oregon, and I got to sit right behind the players. A man in my church gave me a ticket, and it was right. So, I mean, I could like reach out and touch someone and probably get kicked out of the game. Well, Damian Lillard was there, and it's like, hey, Damian, and he just, nodded, but he might have been nodding to all the people behind me, but I didn't get to get a picture with him. Check him out. You may or may not know him. And then one time I was golfing, and I was actually on a trip, and I was in Arkansas, and there was a man who was golfing in front of me who looked like somebody famous. I knew him, but I couldn't think of his name. And I kept thinking about it, and I said, eventually I got up my nerve, and I said, excuse me, are you somebody famous? And he looked at me and he said, well, when you figure it out, let me know. And I was like, oh. Well, I went home, and it turns out his name's Jeffrey Donovan, and he had an action show called Burn Notice. He was like this super spy, and unfortunately I didn't get to get a picture with him. But the interesting thing is that when you run into famous people and you wave and you're like, hey, it's me, and sometimes they let you get a picture with them, sometimes they just kind of nod and keep walking. But what's amazing is that God is the most famous person of all. And we aren't saying, hey God, look at me. God came down to be with us. Did you know that the phrase or a variation of the phrase God with us is in the Bible over 400 times? Abraham, I'm going to be with you. Jacob, I'm going to be with you. Moses, I'm going to be with you. Jesus leaves and says, I'm leaving, but I am going to be with you. Well, in our lesson today, we're learning about a temporary structure that was made more permanent. However, even that structure wasn't permanent. But God with us is coming, but I'm not going to reveal any more secrets. So I need for you to sit up straight. I need for you to point your nose right to the front. And I need for you to freeze. And wait until your teacher tells you what to do next.
Shall come to thee, oh